Okay.
Today's weather, cloudy with a touch of rain. I know I heard some lightning and thunder last night.
Yeah, I'll say.
And tonight, it's going to be cloudy and a little cooler. And let's see, Wednesday, cloudy, a little rain, and a cooler again, 35 degrees.
Oh,
Is that
come
Thursday?
on.
Intervals of clouds and sunshine. And then Friday, cool and abundant sunshine. Saturday, cloudy. Sunday, mostly cloudy. And back to Monday, it's going to be sunny.
Did you ever see such a long, cold spring in your life? Well, today in history, today's Tuesday, March the 20th. See, was I wrong? No, I wasn't, was I? I said 21st, that's tomorrow. Excuse me, folks. Today's Tuesday, March 20th. It's the 79th day of 2018, and there are 286 days left in the year. Spring arrives, are you ready for this? At 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Nobody told the sky. Oh well, today's highlight. On March the 20th, 1854, the Republican Party of the United States was founded by slavery opponents at a schoolhouse in Ripon, Wisconsin. In 1760, a 10-hour fire erupted in Boston, destroying 349 buildings and burning 10 ships, but claiming no lives. In 1815, Napoleon Bonaparte returned to Paris after escaping his exile on Elba, beginning his 100 Days rule. In 1852, Harriet Beecher Stowe's influential novel about slavery, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was first published in book form after being serialized. In 1922, the decommissioned USS Jupiter converted into the first U.S. Navy, aircraft carrier, and was recommissioned as the USS Langley. In 1942, U.S. Army General Douglas MacArthur, having evacuated the Philippines at the order of President Franklin Roosevelt, told reporters in Taroe, Australia, "I came out of Bataan and I shall return." Well, birthdays today. Do we have any listeners with a birthday? Let's look and see. Apparently not. Here we go again. Folks, we're going to have to do better than this. Oh, well, something about Tuesdays. The birthdays in the paper. Singer Dame Vera Lynn is 101. My goodness, I didn't know she was still alive. She was a big-time singer in England during the Second World War. Actor Hal Linden is 87. Country singer Don Edwards is 79. Basketball Hall of Fame coach Pat Riley is 73. Actor William Hurt is 68. Rock musician Jimmy Vaughan is 67. Movie director Spike Lee is 61. Actress Vanessa Bell Calloway is 61. Actress Holly Hunter is 60. Actor David Thewlis is 55. Actress Jessica Lundy is 52. Actor Cedric Yarborough is 45. Actress Paula Garces is 44. Actress Bianca Lawson is 39. And comedian actor Mikey Day is 38. Obviously, if you were born on this day, you should be able to act, or at least it looks that way. Okay. What you got?
Things to know.
All right.
Red Cross blood drives. The American Red Cross has several blood drives scheduled as it tries to restock supplies that were affected by winter storms. The following are scheduled for the Cape Fear region: Harnett County, Bowie's Creek, Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., Campbell University, Leslie Campbell Avenue. Dunn, today, 1:30 to 6 p.m., Plainview Community Center, 5561 Plainview Highway. Robeson County, Lumberton, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., Southeastern Health, 300 North 27th Street. To make a donation, Go to redcrossblood.org or call 800-RED-CROSS 800-733-2767 to make an appointment or for more information. All blood types are needed. Film screening. Sustainable Sand Hills and Clean Air Carolina will host a free film screening of The Age of Consequences on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on the 5th floor of Revolutionary Co-working, 100 Hayes Street. A discussion of the film will take place afterward with State Representative John Soka and David Hens with the Director of Public Works at Fort Bragg. The film looks at how climate change impacts resource scarcity, migration, and conflict through the lens of U.S. national security and global stability. Happiness Yoga. Attend the Happiness Yoga seminar April 7th and learn about the effects of pharmaceuticals on mental health. Dr. Antonio Cusi is the speaker. The program also will include information about how exercise and physical activity can improve a person's alertness and energy, and a segment on healthy foods. The free event is 9 to 11 a.m. at the Kiwanis Recreation Center, 352 Denver Street. For more information, call 867-0070. We want to hear from you. Please submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance. Email calendar at fayetteobserver.com or fax details to 486-3545. For questions, call 486-3500.
Okay. And here is Livewire today with 2 questions. Question number 1. Do you know of anyone who can make quilts out of t-shirts in the Fayetteville area? And it's signed MR Fayetteville. Here's the answer. Loving Stitches Quilt Shop on Ramsey Street does that work, according to Tanya Martin, the manager of the store's quilting department. The customer has different options, she said, as there are different ways to do a t-shirt quilt. They can get quite fancy at times, she said. These are also known as memory quilts. In some cases, the bed covering is stitched together from the favorite clothing that belonged to someone close and who has died. Often, the quilt is made up of an individual's favorite t-shirts that he no longer wears. You don't want to get rid of them, Martin said, so you put them in a quilt. And that was Michael Futch that did the answer for that one. And here's the second question. What is the phone number and address for Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium? I really need a phone number, and that's from CM in Fayetteville. And here's Livewire's answer. Livewire was unable to find a telephone number for Caputo, but you can send her an email through her website. Go to teresacaputo.com, and that was researched by Amanda Dolasinski. I'll get it right in a minute, Amanda. Livewire seeks to answer questions of general interest in consumer topics. Initials are used to identify questioners when names are given. Contact Livewire at livewire@fayobserver.com or 486-3516.
House Vets Committee to meet here. Goodbye Washington, hello Fayetteville. The House Veterans Affairs Committee will forego its typical meeting place on Capitol Hill later this week to host a special field hearing at Fayetteville Technical Community College. The hearing, titled Partnering, Payment, and Provider Access, VA Community Care in North Carolina, will begin at 10 a.m. Friday in Fayetteville Tech Community College's General Classroom Building at 2817 Fort Bragg Road. At least 2 members of the committee, Chairman Representative Phil Rowe, a Tennessee Republican, and Representative Neil Dunn, a Florida Republican, are scheduled to attend. Two local congressmen, Republican reps Richard Hudson and Robert Pittenger, also expected to attend. Last week, committee officials said the oversight hearing would include a discussion of strategies to improve Department of Veteran Affairs care through community programs and access ways to strengthen community partnerships. Rose said the field hearing is meant to solicit ideas from outside of Washington. I know that every VA facility is different, and I realize that the best ideas for reform often start outside Washington, D.C., he said. Hudson and Pittenger have each praised the decision to host a hearing in Fayetteville, which is home to a large veteran population tied to nearby Fort Bragg. As Fort Bragg's congressman and a voice for veterans, my top priority is ensuring veterans can get the best health care when they need it, Hudson said. Hudson said the choice programs, which allows veterans to seek care outside the VA system, has not always provided access to timely and quality care. Congress and this administration have made significant progress, but there's still work to do, he said. Both Hudson and Pittenger's offices routinely work with local veterans on issues related to care. On average, my staff is working on 500 separate cases for local veterans, Pittenger said. Problems with the VA choice program, both access for patients and prompt payment for providers, are one of the top issues we hear about. This hearing will be an important opportunity to discuss necessary strategies to improve service.
Okay, here's an article about a play called Disgraced that's playing at the Cape Fear Regional Theatre at 1209 Hay Street. It's playing through Sunday with shows Wednesday, Thursday and Friday at 7:30 p.m., Saturday at 2 and 7:30, and Sunday at 2 and 6:30. Tickets are $17 for Thursday's performance, $25 for other shows. For information, you can call 323-4233 or you may go to cfrt.org. And here's the article by Roger Mullen. The personal, cultural and political collide in Cape Fear regional theatres, affecting production of the Pulitzer Prize-winning play Disgraced. Boasting strong performances by the principal actors, the drama provides an unflinching look at the post-9/11 divisions that continue to bedevil us nearly 17 years after that epochal event. It is being presented in a limited run through Sunday. Directed by Danny Keel, the play is set in 2011 to 2012 in the stylish New York Upper East Side apartment of Amir, played by Raji Ashan, a corporate lawyer, and his wife Emily, played by Lauren Mae Schaefer, an artist. Amir is of Islamic descent, but he has rejected his heritage as he focuses on climbing the corporate ladder and one day making partner at his law firm. Interestingly, Emily's specialty is art in the Islamic tradition, even though she is from the West. The couple hosts a dinner party for their married friends Isaac, played by Seth Sheldon, and Jory, played by Alison Little. Isaac is Jewish and is Emily's art dealer. Jory is African American and a colleague of Amir's at the law firm. Excuse me. Also complicating the picture is Amir's nephew Abe, played by Darius Schaefer, whose attempts to assimilate into Western culture include changing his name. The dinner party starts out cordial enough, but soon cracks in the picture appear. A major fissure is revealed when Amir reluctantly agrees to provide legal advice to a local imam who is imprisoned on possibly trumped-up charges of supporting terrorist groups. The play has an incredibly intimate feel, due in no small part to its staging. All the audience seating for Disgraced is on the stage, none in the theatre itself. When a character reaches for a drink, you are almost close enough to pour it for him. Sounds like a good play.
Okay. Group to give away free diapers, and it's needed. The Partnership for Children in Cumberland County is hosting a diaper giveaway next month in Fayetteville. The Truckload of Hope giveaway, a joint effort with the Diaper Bank of North Carolina, is scheduled from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. April 7th at 351 Wagner Drive, Suite 100M, according to a Facebook event post. Families who register, qualify, and attend the Truckload of Hope will receive free disposable diapers and diaper wipes, according to the Diaper Bank of North Carolina's website. Children in diaper sizes 5 and smaller will receive 50 diapers per child. Children in size 6 or pull-ups will receive 30 diapers per child. Families who wish to receive the diapers must bring identification for each child, such as birth certificate, military ID, insurance card, passport, medical card, or Social Security card. Registration, which opened Thursday, is limited. Go to diaperbank.ncw.ff.com/forms/S3I11QX1PIHKOM/ to sign up. Anyone interested in volunteering is asked to email volunteer@ccpfc.org.
Okay, that's good. That's a great help. I realize it's not that many, but it's a lot desperately needed, isn't it?
Yes, better than have spend $10, $15, $20.
Yeah, they are expensive, aren't
They are.
Okay, here's an article called 20 Arrested in Prostitution Sting, written by Nancy McCleary. 20 people were arrested during a prostitution sting in Fayetteville on Friday that involved multiple law enforcement agencies and an anti-human trafficking non-profit group. The sting was done at an unidentified hotel in Fayetteville and was aimed at identifying potential victims of human trafficking and those taking part in illegal prostitution, a Fayetteville Police news release said. A total of 29 charges were filed, most of them for misdemeanor solicitation of prostitution. 3 people were charged with felony offenses, the release said. They are Charles Robert Fisher, 31, of the 500 block of Obashay Lane in Stedman, promotion of prostitution. Candace Ray Grimm, 36, of the 500 block of Kelly's Landing Road, possession of heroin, misdemeanor solicitation of prostitution, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. And Michelle Yvonne Pagan, 48, of the 6800 block of Kingsgate Drive, promotion of prostitution, possession of cocaine, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Bail information was not given. The agencies taking part were human trafficking units of the Fayetteville Police Department and Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command at Fort Bragg, the State Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and 5 Sparrows, a group working to counter human trafficking and assisting victims. And that was written by Nancy McCleary, who can be reached at nmcleary@fayobserver.com. Okay.
Okay. Organization helps veterans become game officials. and the program is called Battlefields to Ball Fields. Hector Tarango was lost, finding little purpose in life. After a medical discharge from the Army following a series of ailments, including a ruptured Achilles tendon, he had developed post-traumatic stress disorder. His personal life was a mess. My deployment money was gone, my son was gone, and my wife remarried. It was ugly after my 3 deployments, he says. I gave up. Then 3 people and 1 vocation turned around Tarango's existence. His son Joseph re-entered his life. His friend Henry Rodriguez, whom Tarango calls my brother, alerted him to Battlefields to Ball Fields, an organization that gets veterans involved in officiating. And Mike Piera, the former NFL head of officiating and current Fox football analysis, who founded Battlefields to Ball Fields a year ago, took Tarango under his wing. Now, the 37-year-old Tarango not only is a football official, he's branched out into basketball. I played sports and football, but I didn't know the rules, Tarango says. A lot of people watch football and think they know the rules. But they don't. They don't. Henry told me Mike Pierre ran it, and I didn't know who Mike was. I wasn't interested in it originally, but I did some research and said, yeah, I'll do it. I had never blown a whistle before. Like more than 100 other former military members, Tarango regularly blows whistles now, working youth and high school games in California. Pierre launched his organization last year, hoping to reach the century mark at some point in its build-up. He's gone well past the number, and many of the vets have stories similar to Tarango's. Battlefields to Ball Fields funds the veterans through scholarships as they get involved in officiating. Korea works with officiating groups across the country to get the veterans onto the fields and courts once they have learned their craft. One of the hurdles when you start to officiate is the cost of starting dues and registration fees and uniforms, he says. It's expensive, especially based on what you make per game. It's also rewarding not only for the former military members, but for the officiating realm. They've got the characteristics you need to officiate. Pereira says, the courage is a huge part, not being intimidated by any players, coaches, or spectators. The whole notion of teamwork, they had to be part of a team before, and as officials you are part of a team as well. The confidence, of course, to be able to do a job and do it well, and the stick-to-itiveness. It's amazing to watch them learn. They learn so quickly because they have had to follow orders. It's hard, we all know officiating is hard, and it will take them a while, but they have all it takes to be successful, and now all they need is repetition. My goal is to get them to stay with it. That goal apparently has been reached with Tarango. He did Pop Warner football games on weekends and junior varsity contests on Thursday, averaging perhaps 4 games a week. He's doing the same with basketball, and he doesn't sound averse to trying other sports. I get to put on uniform, and I like wearing a uniform, he says with a chuckle. It gets me out of the house. It is fulfilling. At first, it was real hard. There's that brotherhood, though. I'm not saying it works for everybody, but it works for me. Refraining makes me part of the game and a part of something. That's the idea. Pierre's group has officials working a variety of sports, including wrestling, track and field, lacrosse, soccer, even one ice hockey official. Of the first 100 recruits to B²B, 8 already were doing a second sport within a year. Battlefields to Ball Fields is looking for members among veterans who already have experience in officiating, and Pierre believes many of his recent signees have the ability to teach. These guys and women make a good little extra income, and they're getting out and working with kids, Pierre says. We all talk about how we want to serve again in some way, and they feel like a part of the community. It's the most fulfilling thing I have ever done.
Okay. Here's something about vehicle break-ins. Let me check the time. By Nancy McCleary. 3 more vehicle break-in charges were filed Monday against 2 of the 3 men charged in a robbery attempt in the parking lot of the extended stay America Hotel on Owen Drive earlier this month. Christopher Sean Grubbs, 29, of the 700 block of Old Wilmington Road, and Malik Akeem Jean Newsom, 24, of the 4900 block of Fieldcrest Drive, are charged with 3 counts each of breaking and entering a motor vehicle and 1 count each of conspiracy, misdemeanor larceny, and misdemeanor possession of stolen property. The break-ins happened March the 8th in the parking lot of the Ramada Plaza Baymont Inn and Suites Hotel at 1707 Owen Drive, said Sergeant Sean Strape of the Fayetteville Police Department. A backpack and lunchbox were taken from one vehicle, warrant said, but it was not known what was taken from the other 2. Bail on the new charges for Grubbs and Newsom was set at $10,000 each. Newsom and Grubbs have been charged in an attempted robbery that happened March the 8th in the parking lot of the extended stay America Hotel at Owen and Walter Reed Drives. Warrants for the same offenses have been issued for Antoine Cavan Lawrence, 29, of Hope Mills. Newsom and Lawrence, both carrying guns, approached a man, getting shoes from the trunk of his car, and tried to rob him, according to arrest documents. The man was able to retrieve a .22 caliber rifle from his car. Lawrence fired a shot at the victim, and he returned fire. Lawrence was shot in the head and was taken to UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill for treatment. Newsom was shot but was treated and released at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. Grubbs was driving the vehicle the 3 were in that night, documents said. Newsom and Grubbs were charged with additional motor vehicle break-ins last week. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Baseball stadium budget set at $37.8 million. The Fayetteville's minor league baseball stadium has a $37.8 million budget, public officials said at a Fayetteville City Council meeting Monday night. Market conditions and site constraints were cited by Christoph Bauer, the deputy city manager, as a reason why the budget has risen from the $33 million estimate given for the project in 2016. This has been a challenging process, Bauer said. Councilman Jim Arp, chairman of the baseball committee, said there will be no tax increase. We shall see to pay for the cost increase. Rather, Tracy Broyles, the budget and evaluation director, said the city will use about $1 million per year from its capital fund to pay for the stadium construction over the next few years. The council unanimously approved the capital project ordinance amendment that allows for the city staff to move forward on the next steps required to fund the stadium's construction. The council and the Houston Astros entered into a contract in 2016 that required the city to build a minor league baseball stadium in downtown Fayetteville. In exchange, the Astros have agreed to have a minor league baseball team play at the stadium for 30 years. Bauer said the stadium is on schedule to be finished by opening day in spring 2019, as mandated in the contract between the city and the Astros. The final budget for the stadium came in at $30.3 million for construction costs, $3.9 million in owner's preference costs such as the scoreboard, and $3.5 million in soft costs such as design and engineering. A finance insurance cost of $375,000 was added to the total budget. A sales tax credit could lower the construction cost by $0.5 million, Bauer said. Sales tax credit. Bauer informed the council of a number of reasons that the price had gone up. Some parts of the projects received a small amount of bids, which made the process less competitive. As the economy has recovered from the Great Recession, construction costs have gone up, Bauer said. Specifically, city documents said site work cost $1.26 million, more than estimated. Concrete costs $1.9 million, more than estimated. And mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection engineering, excuse me, often referred to as MEPF, cost $1.2 million more than estimated. Bauer said that site constraints, such as the stadium's proximity to the railroad tracks and the soil conditions, increased the project cost. In early 2017, an environmental report found that the baseball stadium site has soil and groundwater contamination with petroleum products and other hazardous chemicals.
Do you have some water?
I don't have any, but I need to get
Get
some.
them to start some.
In early 2017, an environmental report found that the baseball stadium site has soil and groundwater contaminated with petroleum products and other hazardous chemicals.
You want me to finish it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, where are you at?
Here, and there it is. The report found.
Okay.
The report found.
The hazardous chemicals. The report found that the contamination was because of 3 former gasoline stations that operated in the Hay Street area years ago. Bauer said that the tight construction schedule mandating that the stadium is done in 2019 stopped the city from rebidding construction contracts that came on higher than expected. On March the 26th, the council has scheduled a public hearing on the financing for the stadium. The council will then submit its application to the North Carolina Local Government Commission for limited obligation bonds to fund the stadium's construction. Mark Zafar, president of the Fayetteville Baseball Club, said he's excited that the final budget appropriation was approved. We've been confident this entire time that they would develop a beautiful stadium, Zafar said. We had full faith that the city and the community would come together. It just took a lot of hard work and a lot of long hours to get that financial number to a place where everyone is comfortable. Bauer also shared that the initial development analysis underestimated construction's impact on the city's economy. Work by Durham-based investment group Prince Charles Holdings, LLC, has amplified the projected construction cost returns for the local economy. The original analysis only projected that 149 jobs would be created by the stadium's construction, whereas the latest estimate found that 1,086 jobs will be created. The new analysis also found that the stadium construction will result in $50 million in labor income versus the original estimate of $20 million. In addition, 56% out of $25.6 million in contracts for the baseball stadium's construction have gone to local and/or minority businesses, Bauer said. Councilman Bill Crisp said the proposed economic impact is what has him excited about the project. Initially, I was vehemently opposed to this project, Crisp said. Now I'm on the subcommittee. In other business, the council voted 8-2 to go into closed session during a dinner meeting before the regular meeting. Karen McDonald, the city attorney, advised the council on the closed session regarding an attorney-client privilege matter. Mayor Mitch Colvin and Councilman Tyrone Williams voted in opposition. Colvin said he opposed going into the closed session because he is concerned about government transparency. We need to be as visible and transparent as possible, Colvin said. The items that were requested for a closed session, in my opinion, didn't merit one. Okay, let me see if I can find the station identification, and we'll do that. There it is. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a non-profit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the NCRRS in mind. Our P.O. Box number is 35029, and that's Fayetteville 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. And your radio hosts are
Linda Miller
and Tina Beatty, and we are proud to serve you today. I'll give you that back too. Okay, you can have it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Blatant drugs probe leads to arrest of 3.
Here we go again.
I know.
Gosh.
All the time. 3 Bladen County residents were arrested on heroin, cocaine, and other drug charges Friday after search warrants were executed at 2 residences following a joint investigation involving local, state, and federal agencies, a sheriff's office news release said. One of those arrested, Nancy Kane Pruitt, 52, of the 700 block of Torbury Road, is the first Bladen County person to be jailed since District Attorney John David announced in February that he would seek to have anyone's bail set at $1 million for anyone identified as a heroin dealer, the release said. Pruitt was one of 2 people charged after lawmen executed a search warrant at her home, the release said. Narcotics officers seized heroin, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, and an undisclosed amount of money from the residents. Pruitt is charged with 2 counts of manufacturing heroin and 1 count each of trafficking in heroin, possessing heroin with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver, and maintaining a drug dwelling. Pruitt also is charged with possessing cocaine, possessing marijuana with intent to manufacture, sell, and deliver, misdemeanor possession of a controlled substance, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. Her bail was set at $1,012,500.
Whoa!
Yep. Tara Lane Atkinson, 36, of the same address, is charged with possessing heroin with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver, maintaining a drug dwelling, misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, and misdemeanor possession of adulterants used to dilute drugs. Atkinson's bail was set at $253,000. The second search warrant was executed at the home of Houston Julius Smith, 26, who lives on the 600 block of McLeod Street, the release said. Smith was charged with possessing cocaine, maintaining a drug dwelling, manufacturing cocaine, possession of marijuana, misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, and misdemeanor possession of adultery. He also was charged with felony fleeing to elude law enforcement officers. His bail was set at $53,000.
What a difference.
A big difference. We are glad we have these individuals off the streets, and in partnership with the district attorney's office, we hope to keep them off for a long time, Sheriff James A. McVicker said in the release. Other agencies taking part were the Robeson County Sheriff's Office, the Police Department of Elizabethtown and White Lake, North Carolina, Alcohol Law Enforcement, and the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency. Well, I don't know how those differences play.
No, I don't know either. I know that sometimes, locally anyway, the magistrates, if you had a record before, then that makes it worse, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, time to do this stuff here. Here is Myron Fitt's column. Myron today is talking about, guess what? The stadium. That's going to be like the Hope Mills Lake. It's going to go on and on. Okay, I've talked with lots of people about the new downtown baseball stadium. I always tell them it's more than a stadium. Don't even think of it as just baseball. Excuse me. I've heard from folks who are excited about the project and those who say it'll be a dud. But I'm hearing way more positivity than negativity. That's cool. This buoyant attitude has historically been atypical for the Ville, but I think something changed in this city in 2016 when voters passed the unrelated Parks and Recreation Bond 59 to 41%. 3 previous bonds had gone down in flames by equally large margins. 2016 was a tipping point. People are sick and tired of saying there's nothing to do in Fayetteville, and most are happy to see the city and county working on doing something about it. Baseball fits in with that, since the idea of a team first gained steam in 2016, the naysayers have offered a little more than token opposition beyond the usual carping on social media. Whatever your view, the question at this point is not whether a stadium will be built. Take a look at that big hole the earth-moving machines have made behind the former Prince Charles on Hay Street. A stadium is getting built. The question is if people will support it. I believe in the long run they will, whether the team name is the Woodpeckers or Fatbacks. Neither one is the name I would have chosen. Goodness gracious me. Oh dear, and for the record, I like both names. Sue me, he says. The new figure for the stadium is in $37.8 million. Final maximum price, as the language went in Monday's meeting of the Fayetteville City Council's Baseball Committee. That's almost $5 million more than the figure city staff and the council had been using for the estimated cost. Christoph Bauer, deputy city manager, unveiled the price, explaining the extra costs. He said the stadium upon which ours is modeled, the one in Columbia, South Carolina, was built during the rough part of the market. The market has recovered, he said. We have seen our costs go up. But this price leaves unaffected the mutual commitments already worked out between the city and the Houston Astros, which is scheduled to put a minor league baseball team in the stadium next year. Also unaffected is the delicate shared cost arrangement between the city and Cumberland County, since the city is going to absorb the increase. The city can make up the gap by drawing about $1 million a year from the city's capital fund, according to Tracy Broyles, budget director. The city might have to forego some future projects, she said. But the numbers in the long run should be well worth it. Related development next to the stadium at the former Prince Charles site is expected to bring $110 million in investment. Jordan Jones, the project manager, said last week that includes converting the former albatross of a hotel into 61 premium apartments, construction of a 116-room hotel, 84,000 square feet of office space, and 16,000 square feet of retail space. Bauer showed a slide with economic impacts and included 91 annual jobs at the stadium and 580 full-time jobs at the Prince Charles site, plus 150 to 200 part-time jobs. Additionally, the stadium should make money beyond the baseball team, since it also will be a major event space for sports, concerts, and other entertainment. As if to underscore the point, Mark Zathar, head of the Fayetteville Baseball Club, said the stadium is already a finalist for hosting the Big South Conference baseball tournament next year. Fayetteville is attracted to the conference, which is spread between the Carolinas and Virginia, because it is driving distance from the 8 campuses, Zathar said. Councilman Bill Crisp, a baseball committee member, said, "We need to make sure that our citizens out there know that this is much more than building a ball field. This is an economic engine that's going to be very beneficial to this community for years to come. It's not a venture, it's almost a sure thing." And if you want to get a hold of Myron Pitts, you can reach him at mpitts@fayobserver.com or 486-3559.
It'll be interesting to see what projects they drop. We've got some big ones going on.
Yeah, to cover that. Yes.
It's going to be very interesting. Letters to the Observer. Hog stench exaggerated. Your March 11th editorial, Hog Farm Soup, shows why some innovation is in order. May have been written with good intention, but improvements can't be made on false claims. The editorial says that living next to a hog farm creates intense odors and has an unbearable stench. My family raised hogs, and we live right next to our farm. We could have built our house further away from the farm, but we chose not to. We have never regretted raising our 2 children on this land. All animals, chicken, cattle, hogs, at times create odors, but the picture of unbearable stench is simply not true. Not only do I live next to our hog farm, but our yard is bordered by fields that are fertilized with animal waste. Does it sometimes smell? Yes. Occasionally, depending on a combination of temperature, humidity, wind direction, and other factors. But it isn't often, and it isn't unbearable. Even when I was newly married and hung all my clothes on a line because I didn't have a clothes dryer, smell wasn't a problem. I worked at the hospital as a nurse, and no one ever said my clothes smelled like pigs. I'm not against innovation and improving the farming practices, but I am against false claims and exaggerations. Portraying hog farmers as horrible neighbors is unfair. Like most people, we care about our neighbors. We also love what we do and are proud to help feed millions of Americans. And that's no exaggeration. And that's from Angie Dunn in Mount Olive.
Okay, guess we have time to do this. This is the newspaper's opinion today. Our votes are too vulnerable to hackers. Even as investigations about Russian interference with our last national election continue, we're confident that the voting totals themselves were accurate. There's no reason to believe that Russian hackers were able to infiltrate our voting systems and manipulate the vote totals. We're also confident that other merchants of cyber mischief did succeed, to a small degree, in influencing the vote by feeding Americans a rich menu of false information about the candidates. That's the real fake news. False stories meant to influence political opinion, as opposed to the president's definition, which generally means real stories that he just doesn't like. But the security of the country's election system remains a concern, because there is plenty of evidence that foreign hackers did indeed try to break into them. We're fortunate that they failed. Most cybersecurity experts, though, say that the Russian hackers are learning as they go, becoming increasingly adept at navigating into our electoral systems. Once you've cast your vote, chances are it will count. Whether you vote on a paper ballot or on an electronic machine, the vote data aren't connected to the internet and are secure from outside interference. It's in the steps that precede your vote that election officials see potential for damage. In many states, voter registration records are available online. So are many of the ways people can register, including, as we do in North Carolina, voter registration through the DMV. That's just one of the many avenues that a skilled hacker could take to get into voter registration records. Consider for a moment the chaos that hackers would create if they scrambled voter records a short time before an election. There was a legal squabble in North Carolina before last year's elections over a state board of elections attempting to stop local boards from using one company's software to check voter registration information. The company, according to a national security agency, had been the target of a Russian cyber attack days before the 2016 election. The state board tried to forbid use of the firm's software, but the courts overruled the board, and it turned out that the cyber attacks had failed and the software wasn't compromised. Still, the experts say that hackers are getting better, and that one of these days they may succeed. 2 years ago, in fact, hackers thought to be connected to Russia did get into the Illinois voter rolls and viewed the records of 76,000 voters. Since then, Illinois has added firewalls and other security measures. But the experts aren't confident. J. Alex Haldeman, director of the University of Michigan's Center for Computer Security and Society, told the Associated Press that many of the system's weaknesses that were present in 2016 still haven't been addressed. He has a bleak view of what can happen. I think it's only a matter of time before we suffer a devastating attack on our election systems unless our federal and state governments act quickly. And don't think it's just the Russians who want to make a hash of our electoral systems. There are plenty of hackers out there who would do it just for the thrill of doing it. There are also a lot of angry, disgruntled souls with cash to burn who would pay to have it done. And if hackers get in, can ransomware be far behind? All of this is a reason for Congress to create the expertise to combat the hackers and the funding to help all the states fortify their election system at every point they may be vulnerable. Is there a politician in America who has not declared the individual vote a sacred thing? We can't think of one, which makes an investment in the electoral cybersecurity the place where they can show they mean it.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty.
and Linda Miller, and we are proud to serve you today.
You got anything little over there? No, we can't do the obituaries until it says 11, so any little thing we got, I guess this is, we can't do that till after we do the obits. I'll put that one back there, and that's Abby. What we could do is part of this public safety, we could just read the top and then read the bottom of it later on, do you think?
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that, yeah.
You want these?
Those are fine, okay, we'll just put them under together.
Let's see. Public safety. Cumberland County arrest. Sabrina Jamaica MacArthur, 34, of the 6100 block of Timberland Drive, was charged Monday with 2 counts of obtaining property by false pretense and 1 count of misdemeanor larceny. Bail was set at $2,500. Deanna Demon Badger, 26, of the 300 block of Maiden Drive, was charged Monday with assault conflicting serious injury, strangulation involving domestic violence. Bail will be set this morning by a district court judge. Eddie Lamar Phillips, 30, of the 500 block of Ramsey Street, was charged Monday with 2 counts of trafficking in heroin and 1 count each of possessing a controlled substance with intent to sell and deliver, maintaining a drug vehicle of dwelling, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Bail was set at $33,000. Antoine Lavon Campbell Jr., 25, of the 6500 block of Amanda Circle, was charged Monday with possessing a stolen firearm and misdemeanor assault on a female involving domestic violence. Bail on the firearm charge was set at $10,000. Bail on the assault charge will be set this morning by a district court judge.
Okay, you got a little bit more time. I guess you can do one of them others.
Okay, this Alabama man faces sex-related charges. A former Fayettville resident is accused of sex offenses involving a 14-year-old that happened in 2014 when he was living here, according to arrest warrants in the Cumberland County Magistrate's Office. Keith Wesley Johnson Jr., 37, of the 3200 block of Norman Bridge Road in Montgomery, Alabama, was charged Monday with statutory rape or sex offense and taking indecent liberties with a minor. The incidents happened between April 1 and June 1 in 2014 when Johnson was living on the 6000 block of Idlewood Court, warrant said. Bail was set at $75,000. And that article was done by Nancy McClary. Okay. Turnbull Road, too close for work. A portion of Turnbull Road will be closed in both directions starting this morning to replace a drainage pipe under the road. The State Department of Transportation said Monday. The road is expected to reopen by the end of the day, Monday. A detour will be in place. Turnbull Road will be closed near Sharon Church Road starting at 7 a.m.
If that thing isn't working properly, then we don't need to switch it over, do we? We're good. Okay. Alrighty.
We're hoping that I just called the Chapel Hill.
Okay.
What they say.
Okay.
I'll talk to him.
Alrighty. Obituaries. Time for that. I know you're all waiting for me to read these. Terrible frogs I brought with me today. Oh dear. Okay, this is the following deaths have been reported. Upcoming editions of the Fayettville Observer will have more complete information. From Cumberland County, Patty Gelber, 79, of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. Stephen R. Sharp, 44, of Fayetteville, Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory, Retired Tech Sergeant Earl R. Jeffries, 81, of Fayetteville, Rogers and Breese Funeral Home. Jamaica Clements, 41, of Fayetteville, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. Jeffrey Scott Surratt, 57, of Fayetteville, Jernigan Warren Funeral Home, Eileen Boney, 70 of Fayetteville, Herring Funeral Care and Cremations, Betty Jean Martin Gagnon, 82 of Rayford, Rogers and Breese, Pat Loper, 95 of Fayetteville, Lafayette Funeral Home, and Kathleen L. Washington, 66 of Fayetteville, Weissman Mortuary. From the region, Virginia Dead Jackson Dutch, 93 of Laurenburg, Richard Bowles Funeral Service, Shirley Oxendine, 63 of Rowland, Bowles Funeral Service in Rowland, and Mac A. Manning, 94 of Parkton, Hills Funeral Home. Okay, that takes care of those. Now on to the obituaries from the local ones from Cumberland County. From Fayetteville, Mrs. Stacy Jones, age 52, of Fayetteville, departed this life Thursday, March 15th. The funeral service will be held on Thursday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. in New Mission Baptist Church, with Minister John Langley officiating, and the family will receive friends and viewing, and also the viewing will be Wednesday, March 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the church. Arrangements entrusted to Weissman Mortuary. From Lakeland, Florida, Ada Alicia, 85, of Lakeland, Florida, formerly of Spring Lake, died Wednesday, March 14th. Graveside Tuesday, 2 p.m. Grave services will be graveside Tuesday at 2 p.m. in Sandhill State Veterans Cemetery. The burial will be in Sandhill State Veterans Cemetery on Fort Bragg, and Adcock Funeral Home and Crematory in charge of arrangements there. Let's see. I have one more here, and then I'll hand these over to Linda, and she can do the rest of them. There's not too many today, which is good. From Rayford, Mr. Isaac Lee O'Toole of Rayford, and that's spelled O-T-U-E-L, of Rayford, passed away March 18th at the age of 78. A time of visitation will be held between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. Thursday, March 22nd in Galatia Presbyterian Church Fellowship Hall. A memorial service will be held at 12 p.m. Thursday, March 22nd at Galatia Presbyterian Church with full military honors, and Reverend Brett Johnson will officiate. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Galatia Presbyterian Church Building Fund, 8800 Galatia Church Road, Fayetteville, 28304, and condolences may be made at crumplerfuneralhome.com. Okay. So you just got them 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
them, I get all them, just those.
Okay.
Sandra Coles-Rouse, Coates. Sandra Coles-Rouse, 68 of Coates, died Sunday, March 18, 2018. Funeral Wednesday, 1 p.m. West and Dunn Funeral Home Chapel in Irwin. Visitation West and Dunn Funeral Home of Irwin, Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Rouse Family Cemetery, Coates, West and Dunn Funeral Home in Irwin will be the place of burial. Myrtle Faircloth, Clinton. Myrtle Faircloth, 88 of Clinton, died Saturday, March 17, 2018. Funeral Friday, 3 p.m. Holly Grove Holiness Church. Visitation Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Burial Holly Grove Holiness Church Cemetery, Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home. Iva Clyburn, Proctorville. Iva Clyburn, 77 of Proctorville, died Sunday, March 18, 2018. Funeral is Wednesday, 3 p.m. Proctorville Baptist Church. Visitation prior to the funeral services, Wednesday, 1:30 p.m., 3 p.m. The burial will be at Proctorville Cemetery, Floyd Mortuary. Quincy Cannon Lyles, Kenansville. Quincy Cannon Lyles, 67, of Kenansville, died Thursday, March 15, 2018. Funeral will be Wednesday, 1 p.m., Grace and Truth Church of Christ. Visitation, Grace and Truth Church of Christ, Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Lily Green Shaw, Fuquay Arena. Lily Green Shaw, 87, of Fuquay Arena, died Saturday, March 17, 2018. Grave site, Thursday, 10 a.m., Burial, Lafayette Memorial Park, Butler Funeral Home, Stedman. A reading from the writings of Reverend Billy Graham.
Oh, that's how they're going to do that now, huh? I wonder what they were going to do, because, they've been putting a little comment in there that this was answered by Reverend Graham before he passed away.
Okay.
So now they've changed it to that, huh?
Yeah, they're going to do writings.
Oh, okay.
You should accept Christ for the ultimate reason. Jesus came into the world to make our lives better, and he demonstrated it both by what he did and by what he said. Healing the sick, confronting evil, teaching us how to live. Why would anyone be opposed to that? As the Bible says, he went around doing good and healing all those who were under the power of the devil, because God was with him. Acts 10:38. And yet, some still hated him and sought his death. Shortly after his birth, King Harold tried to kill him. When Jesus visited his hometown, they rejected what he said and attempted to throw him off a nearby cliff. Some political and religious leaders began plotting his death after he exposed their hypocrisy. Pilate, the Roman governor, gave in to the pressure of the crowd and ordered his execution. Why did they hate him? Some opposed him because they were afraid of losing their wealth or power if Jesus became popular. Others hated him because he exposed their greed and pride and injustices, and they didn't want to repent and change their ways. Still, others turned against him because he refused to meet their selfish demands. Eventually, they succeeded in nailing him to the cross. What keeps you from surrendering your life to Jesus? Are you clinging to some sin you don't want to give up, although you know it might destroy you? Have you allowed bitterness or anger to grip your soul? Or are you determined to keep control of your life instead of turning it over to God? Whatever your reasons, face them honestly, and then repent of them and commit your life to Christ. The Bible's promise is true. For the wages of sin is death. For the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. Romans 6:23.
Okay. Now here's time. It's time for Dear Abby. Dear Abby, I have been married 14 years and have 2 children. The first 3 years of marriage were great. We both cared for and respected each other. As our children grew older and our jobs have become more demanding, my husband has changed about how he views our sex life. After our 3rd year of marriage, my husband started raping me. No one knows this except an ex-sister-in-law. At first, I didn't understand what was really happening. He was forceful and wouldn't take no for an answer. I went along with it at first, thinking I wasn't giving him enough attention and was doing the wifely and not doing the wifely duties. But over the years, it has become worse, ripping my clothing off and holding me down. I have told him it's not okay, but if I speak up, it leads to a fight. He says I don't show him I care for him, and we don't have sex enough. So this is his way of getting it. Abby, I lost respect for the man I married. I no longer want to be intimate with him because he doesn't respect me or my body. The only reason I've stayed this long is for my children. Is there hope in him changing? And it's signed, sleeping on the couch. Abby says, Dear sleeping on the couch. Ripping a spouse's clothing off and holding him or her down is not foreplay. It is spousal rape and a form of domestic abuse. It's a crime in all 50 states. The level of hostility in your home isn't healthy for you or your children, who may grow up thinking it's normal. Because your husband may become violent if you tell him the marriage is over, contact RAINN, RAIN, 800-656-4673 or RAIN, RAINN.org, and let them help you form a safe escape plan. Let me give you the phone number again. 800-656-4673. It is not normal for a man to treat a woman the way your husband has. He is unlikely to change, and you need to look out for yourself and the children. Dear Abby, my wife is in her 30s. She's a beautiful woman and a wonderful mother to our 3 children, and my soulmate. We've been married 10 years. She has many qualities I love and admire, but also one that causes me serious concern: her slouchy posture. She slouched a little when we married, but her posture has worsened dramatically since then. We have spent thousands of dollars on personal trainers, massage, and chiropractic. When we infrequently quarrel, she unconsciously slouches more, which drives me crazy. She's willing to see professional medical practitioners, but is unwilling to accept any responsibility for it. I can't bring it up without her getting bristly and defensive, but it's getting worse every year. It's also taking a toll on our relationship. I'd appreciate any advice you could share, and it's signed Desperate for Straight Talk. Dear Desperate, if your wife's posture is the only thing about her that causes you serious concern, you're a lucky man. Believe me when I tell you, I have been told far worse. Correcting one's posture takes constant vigilance and determination. It's not easy, and not everyone is able to manage it. Slouching is a defensive posture, and if she slouches even more when you raise the subject, it may have something to do with the way you're doing it. Ah, well done, Abby.
A horoscope for today. If you were born today, you don't like secrets, and you're not the kind to hang around the water cooler to exchange gossip with co-workers. You prefer to deal with things out in the open, embracing transparency and full accountability. Aries, March 21st to April 19th. You're likely to redefine for yourself what it means to be brave. There is something you have to do that only you can do. Sagittarius, April 20th, May 20th. Someone is likely to remind you why you're involved in a certain endeavor. Just as you are ready to call it quits, don't be hasty. Gemini, May 21st, June 20th. It's a good time to rewrite the rules, especially if you receive support from those who have been working for some time in the shadows. Cancer, June 21st, July 22nd. What begins as something of a lark is likely to become quite a serious endeavor before you know it. What exactly do you have riding on it? Leo, July 23rd, August 22nd. You may think that a certain decision is entirely up to you, but you are being influenced by others in a very significant way. Virgo, August 23rd, September 22nd. You are tempted to explore uncharted territory today, and you will find that things may get unusually emotional if you do. Libra, September 23rd, October 22nd. You're likely to receive a report of another's progress today that inspires you to pick up the pace and to try something unorthodox. Scorpio, October 23rd, November 21st. You must do all you can to determine who is telling the truth and who is trying to deceive you. Your efforts are likely to inspire others. Sagittarius, November 22nd, December 21st. What you do today cannot be taken back, no matter how hard you may try. As the saying goes, you cannot unring a bell. Capricorn, December 22nd, January 19th. Something you've taken for granted proves elusive at this time. You must be willing to dedicate yourself to its recovery. Aquarius, January 20th, February 18th. You may be confused about doing what someone else calls the right thing. This may prompt a discussion from which you can learn a great deal. Pisces, February 19th, March 20th. You're tempted to do what others claim cannot be done. As you turn the next corner, you will be able to demonstrate what you're really made of. That's your horoscope for the day.
Okay. We have a column, and that should take care of the columns for the day. This is E.J. Dion column. Usually tells me who they write columns for, but it's not telling me at the bottom of this one. Former Representative Barney Frank and the writer William F. Buckley Jr. could hardly have been more at odds in their political views. The Massachusetts Democrat remains a staunch liberal, while Buckley was the intellectual founder of modern conservatism. But they had something important in common. Each wanted his side to win elections and could be thoroughly pragmatic about doing what victories required. Frank said his strategic approach was to always support the most electable liberal candidates with an edge in close cases going to electability. From the other philosophical shore, Buckley said almost exactly the same. I'd be for the most right viable candidate who could win. What we'll call the Frank-Buckley rule is a live issue as Democrats confront potentially divisive primary fights in House and Senate races. The debate over what price is worth paying to prevail in November was sharpened by Connor Lamb's apparent triumph in a Pennsylvania congressional district that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump in 2016. Contrary to Republican spin, Lamb is no conservative. He is a pro-Labor Democrat who opposed the GOP tax cut, the repeal of Obamacare, and the reductions to Medicare and Social Security. He also denounced the role of big money in politics, but he is no left-winger. He defended fracking and had doubts about the wouldn't that be nice? Had doubts about the $15 an hour minimum wage, criticized House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, and cast himself as a unifier. As the political analyst Amy Walter shrewdly pointed out, Lamb appealed simultaneously to Trump voters who still want to drain Washington's swamp and to the president's most ardent foes by running as an outsider. The question is whether primaries will allow Lamb-like nominees to emerge in districts where profiles such as his offer Democrats their best chance of snatching seats. At the outset, let's admit that voters are not pundits, and that pundits themselves are often lousy at predicting election outcomes. Many Republicans saw Trump as a sure loser in 2016. They, along with lots of other people, including professional prognosticators, were wrong. Internal party fights also mean less in very safe states or districts. where one party is almost certain to prevail, primary voters don't have to worry about the consequences for going with their hearts and their philosophies. And there have been moments in history when primary voters had good reason to decide that taking a stand and making a point took precedence over winning an election. Democrats opposed to the Vietnam War felt this way in 68 and 72. Buckley himself, whose loathing of liberal Republicans surpassed his dislike of Democrats, was an enthusiastic champion of Barry Goldwater in 1964, even though the late Arizona senator seemed the weakest electoral bet. Goldwater lost in a landslide, but transforming the GOP had greater significance for Buckley and other Goldwaterites than beating LBJ and transforming the party they did. But not every issue is Vietnam, and competing factions should beware of promiscuity in declaring this or that question as a make or break. Moreover, the Goldwater analogy has limited utility, since both parties have a degree of philosophical coherence now that they lacked 50 years ago. In the case of the Democrats, their center-left and left factions are much closer to each other than were the GOP's liberal and conservative wings in '64. And in 2018, one priority truly outranks all others. Will Democrats take hold of at least one house of Congress to provide a real check on Trump's abuses? Partisanship is easy to criticize, but in the short run, removing a supine GOP from power in Congress is the one and only way voters can use the ballot box to hold the president accountable, whatever their difference. Democrats will not allow the many forms of Trump administrative corruption to be buried. There will be plenty of time before 2020 to argue over the Democratic Party's direction, but between now and the fall, sorting out which candidate best fits a given district matters far more than it usually does. For Trump's opponents, pragmatism is principle, because the stakes are so high. Sorry, I'm having a problem reading today.
Okay, deal paves way for Matthew spending. Cumberland County Commissioners approved an agreement Monday that is expected to clear the way for Fayetteville to spend more than $15 million on projects related to Hurricane Matthew recovery efforts. The Community Development Block Grant funding comes through federal programs in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Money is given to the state, which passes it on to counties that suffered the worst damage in the storm. The $34.76 million grant program that helps low and moderate income residents will last 6 years. The initial 2-year portion of $23.26 million, which includes $15.33 million that will go to the city. The funds not used by the city will go toward projects in the county which collaborated with the city on a plan to address storm recovery efforts. The agreement calls for the money going to the city to be used to rebuild single-family homes, repair mobile homes, and provide affordable homes in the Oak Ridge Estate community. Money also could be used for multi-family rental housing, small business recovery, and other recovery efforts, such as providing support and shelters for a homeless initiative. Tracy Jackson, the assistant county manager, said after the meeting of the county had received more than 200 applications for help through the program. State officials are processing the grants to to be sure applicants are eligible and are not already receiving assistance through another program. The money will go from everything from home renovations to reconstruction, Jackson said. The Community Development Block Grant Program is separate from earlier funds and a hazard mitigation grant program that came through the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We're trying to hit those folks who still have needs, Jackson said. Everybody's situation is very individual and very unique. The agreement was on the Commissioner's consent agenda, so it was approved without discussion. The Commissioner's Finance Committee approved the agreement with a few minor changes at its most recent meeting. In other actions, Commissioners approved a schedule of meetings to work on next year's budget. The schedule calls for Amy Cannon, the county manager, to present a proposed budget on May 22nd and for Commissioners to approve it on June 13th.
Okay. We've got a little bit of time here. Here's an article about Scotty McCreery. What's funny about this is at the bottom of the article I saw this little square and it said, "Mow your lawn tomorrow, National Park. Reclaim your weekend." That was a pretty good advertisement for the National Park. Don't mow your lawn, go to the National Park. Okay. In summer 2015, country singer Scotty McCreery recorded Southern Belle, a breezy, flirtatious track that his record label sent to radio as his new single. McCreery wasn't so sure about the choice. He said he would have preferred to release a song such as 5 More Minutes, an emotional ballad he co-wrote after the death of his grandfather. But Southern Belle was the kind of up-tempo song that had proved very popular on country radio. Several months later, Southern Belle stalled at number 45 on the charts, and McCreery, who had been with Universal Music Group Nashville since he won American Idol in 2011, was dropped. His unexpected departure stung. It can be tough for young Nashville talent to get a second chance. Then a few months later, McCreery performed 5 More Minutes at the Grand Ole Opry. He received a standing ovation. The video racked up thousands and eventually millions of views. Syndicated radio personality Bobby Bones caught wind of the song and called McCreery saying, "Dude, we're going to make this a monster." Other stations joined in and it became the first song to ever crack the top 50 media-based radio chart without the support of a label. In August 2017, McCreery signed a new deal with Triple Tigers Records. Late last month, 5 More Minutes became the first #1 song of McCreery's career, just in time for his new album, Seasons Change, which comes out Friday. So, Scotty, tell us, how great does it feel to get your first #1 with a type of song that your former label, the one that dropped you, chose not to release? "It feels good," said McCreery, smiling during a recent interview in Nashville. "I'm not gonna lie, it feels really good." However, the 24-year-old North Carolina native is way too nice to gloat, so he makes a point of saying how much he appreciated everything Universal did for him. After all, his debut album, Clear as Day, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 back in 2011, when he was fresh off Idol and a high school senior who had no idea how the music business worked. That record sold more than 1 million copies. McCreery also had 2 top 10 singles with his sophomore album, See You Tonight, released in 2013. But Nashville is all about meaningful songs, and he simply never had that breakout hit until now. So for McCreery, this victory is sweet, particularly as an artist who has long felt the need to prove he wasn't just that TV guy people voted for. "I feel like I was still kind of fighting that battle, even a few years ago. I'd say this song more than anything gives you credibility and validates what we've been doing. So I think I'm past that now." McCreery burst onto the Idol stage as a 16-year-old with a shockingly deep singing voice similar to country crooner Josh Turner's baritone. He stunned the judges, Steven Tyler, Jennifer Lopez, and Randy Jackson, at his first audition where he belted out Turner's Your Man. Beyonce appeared as a guest mentor and confided she was a huge fan. McCreary sailed to victory with the help of a devoted all-ages fan base. Don't forget, mow your lawn tomorrow.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty
and Linda Miller, and we are proud to serve you today. Let's look at something that's going around with people. Sex and the City star Nixon running for governor. It's in Albany, New York. Former Sex and the City star Cynthia Nixon is running for New York governor. After flirting with the run for months, Nixon tweeted Monday that she will challenge Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York's Democratic primary in September. It sets up a long shot bid pitting an openly gay liberal activist who has never held political office against a two-term incumbent with a $30 million war chest and possible presidential ambitions. Her campaign website said Nixon won't accept any corporate contributions and will limit contributions from any individual or organization to $65,100 for the election cycle. Nixon has her work cut out for her. A Seminary College poll released Monday showed Cuomo leading her 66% to 19% among registered Democrats and by a similar margin among self-identified liberals. Wynn settled with second woman over sex allegations. It's in Las Vegas. Embattled casino mogul Steve Wynn broke the settlement more than a decade ago with a second woman who accused him of sexual misconduct and recently reported her to the FBI, his attorneys say in court documents. Wynn and one of his attorneys met with FBI agents last month to accuse the woman of trying to extort him by threatening to go public with details from the 2006 settlement, according to the documents received earlier this month in state court in Las Vegas. The woman's attorney, Lisa Bloom, and in an email said her client denies extortion allegations. My client, who wishes to remain anonymous at this time, has never committed any act of extortion, she wrote. To the contrary, she simply stated that she wanted to speak. Her emails did not seek any money. One of Wynn's attorneys, Donald Campbell, identified the woman as a former Wynn employee with whom the billionaire settled in December 2006.
Okay. I was just hunting for the television schedule so that I wouldn't be caught napping when it came time for television. Okay, here's an article. Woman says Steven Seagal sexually assaulted her. This thing keeps rolling and rolling, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles. A woman on Monday said she was a 17-year-old model and aspiring actress when Steven Seagal sexually assaulted her at a supposed casting session at a Beverly Hills hotel room in 2002. Fabiola Dardis was emotional but composed as she spoke at a news conference in Los Angeles becoming the latest of several women to accuse the action star of sexual misconduct. Dottie said Siegel grabbed under her bikini top, grabbed her nipples, and then grabbed her genitals soon after the audition began. She said she promptly ended the audition and left deeply shaken. I have suffered from depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress, have found it difficult to form trusting relationships with men, Dottie said through tears as she read from a written statement. She recently filed a report with police, and Los Angeles prosecutors said Monday that her case is under review. Dottie spoke at the news conference alongside her attorney Lisa Bloom and another woman, Regina Simmons, who said Segal sexually assaulted her in 1995 when she was 18. Allegations she previously made on NBC's Megyn Kelly Today in January. Segal's attorney, Anthony Falangetti, said the actor adamantly denies the allegations. These claims by the two women who spoke today are completely fictitious and totally made up, Falangetti told the Associated Press in a telephone interview late Monday. He said it was implausible that either woman ended up unaccompanied with Segal in the ways they said they were. Neither one of their accounts is at all believable, Falangetti said. Dadis, now a 33-year-old doctoral candidate in clinical neuroscience, said she had recently moved to the U.S. from the Netherlands when a music producer introduced her to Segal. After several phone calls and text messages, Segal invited Dadis to a hotel room in Beverly Hills for the late-night casting session for a film he planned to make about Genghis Khan, Dadis said. Dadis brought a family friend because her mother was suspicious, but the person stayed in the lobby and she ended up in a room with only Segal and his personal security guard. Segal had told her to wear a bikini or bra and panties under her clothes and had her walk around the room in the bikini before saying he wanted to test their chemistry together and started touching her, Daddy said. Honest to goodness.
Black Panther puts spotlight on question of connection. When Jennifer Emoji went to see Black Panther, the New Jersey resident didn't feel like wearing any of the traditional Nigerian clothing she routinely wears for family parties. She enjoyed seeing photos of those who did come out to see the global blockbuster about the superhero leader of a fictional African nation dressed in their African-inspired outfit, but immediately found it a little ironic too. Growing up, we used to get made fun of for being African by Black Americans, says a 36-year-old physical therapist who was born and raised in the United States to Nigerian immigrant parents. Now we're cool. In the week since its release, Black Panther has been a juggernaut, holding the top box office spot, bringing in more than $560 million domestically and $1 billion globally. Featuring a predominantly black cast hailing from all over the world, it's an American-made film from an African-American director, Ryan Coogler. That's an ode to Africa, set in the fictional, never colonized, and immeasurably powerful nation of Wakanda, with costuming and sets heavily inspired by existing African cultures. Its central story pits T'Challa, the Black Panther and King of Wakanda, against Eric Killmonger, the son of T'Challa's uncle, and an American woman who was abandoned in America, and touches on how and whether the country's power should be used in aid of black people globally. Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, feels his father's African homeland should arm black people in globalist uprising, while T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, questions his country's history of isolation, but doesn't want to see global bloodshed or Wakanda imperialism. In touching on the questions of what's the connection or displacement among peoples of African descent all over the world, it's put a spotlight on a very real world issue one that's been talked about by academics and activists for a century and more, and one that's had an impact on how Africans and African Americans have interacted with each other. African Americans figures include W.E.B. Du Bois and Malcolm X have long involved a connection between American blacks descended from those who were forced to come here as slaves and stripped of everything, including their cultural heritage, with Africans on the continent and Africa itself, said Jonathan Gray, associate professor at John Jay College in Manhattan. For a lot of people who are conscious, there is this tradition where we've tried to discern this connection, he said. It's an act of diasporic imagination. It's the same act of imagination that allows for a Jew living in Portugal, a Jew living in Brazil, and a Jew living in Poland to all think of Jerusalem as their home, even though, let's say, in 1930, none of them had ever been to Jerusalem. Some of the context of the need and desire for the connection has been the legalized racism of the systems African Americans were forced to live under, first slavery and then segregation, for much of the history of the United States. This has made it extremely difficult for most African Americans to trace their particular ancestries back past a handful of generations in this country. If we had been allowed to come here on our own, and we were able to maintain a sense of identity with where we actually come from, with a sense of specialty, there might not be that reaction that people have right now, said Tony Armstrong, 46, an IT consultant in Miami, who has done genetic testing to find even a general sense of where his roots in Africa might be. We need to know that we don't come from nothing, said Sarah Taylor, 34, of Nashville, Tennessee. We need to know that we came from somewhere, that we didn't just spring from the ground in chains in the United States. But as much as there's been a push for connection in some corners, there's been plenty of disconnect as well, and even disdain from one group to the other, as stereotypes like those about poverty-stricken Africa or dangerous inner-city America have been absorbed by both groups, and there's a lack of real knowledge of the harsh realities of slavery on one hand and colonialism on the other, experts say. We meet and encounter each other through these lenses of mutual ignorance, said Matuta Aktuva, assistant professor at Kent State University in Kent, Ohio. It makes relating to each other difficult. Writing for Huffington Post, Jolie A. Doggett questioned whether black Americans would be welcome if Wakanda were a real place. She was doubtful. I found myself having to face the sometimes harsh reality that there is a division within our diaspora that's not going away too easily to heal, she said. Famunla Fagmala, an adjunct professor at California State University, Los Angeles, said, there are complexities within black identity between African Americans and specifically black people in Africa where they would say, no, you are not us. But that has been shifting over time, especially in recent years, and the movie could play a role in opening dialogue, said Melinda, also a professor at Cal State LA and chairwoman of Pan-African Studies. I think the movie is sparking a conversation and consciousness among people, she said. The role of black art has always been a kind of awakening to get us to think creatively, critically, use our imaginations to think about what freedom is.
Okay, let's see. Here's an article about Hope Mills. From Hope Mills. Hope Mills Lake Park plans stymied. A divided Hope Mills Board of Commissioners voted Monday night to table action on a plan for the Hope Mills Lake Park until a comprehensive Parks and Recreation Plan is completed. Melissa Adams, the town manager, said that might not be until this fall or winter. The lake was refilled in late January after a new dam was completed. Mayor Pro Tem Mike Mitchell and Commissioners Meg Larson and Jerry Legg voted to table the matter. Commissioners Jesse Bellflowers and Pat Edwards wanted to move ahead. The board was considering spending no more than $50,000 for a plan for the lake park that may include a bulkhead and boardwalk. That cost does not include construction. Mitchell said he preferred to wait until the town has received a comprehensive parks plan. The town has contracted with the McAdams Group for the plan. Mayor Jackie Warner, who doesn't vote except in cases of a tie, strongly urged the board to move ahead. I have heard from a lot of people who are so excited about the lake, but they want to see more at the lake, Warner said. I worry we're going to get postponed something that is going to be more expensive in the future. Edwards said she has talked to senior citizens about having a boardwalk at the lake. We spent so much money for a beautiful lake. Why not go ahead with the rest of it, she said. Legg said he was worried about the cost of improvements to the lake park and whether it would mean a tax increase for citizens. I don't talk to the same people Miss Edwards does, Legg said. Everybody I talk to says nope, nope, nope. Bellflower said the Town Lake Advisory Committee has worked on the lake park issue for 2 years. I don't know why we're trying to kick this can down the road while we wait for a comprehensive plan, he said. In other action, the board, by a 3-2 vote, approved a personnel policy for town employees. Town staff had said that the policy had not been updated for 10 years. Larson and Legg voted no. Both said they were concerned about a provision that replaces the option of a holiday bonus with a longevity pay increase, the amount of which depends on how long an employee has been with the town. By a 4-1 vote, approved residential zoning for a 78.85 acre tract off East Mission Road. The property already annexed into town is the future site of a 154 unit West Hampton Phase 2 housing development. Legg voted no, saying he was concerned about traffic and access in and out of the development. Unanimously approved a resolution supporting the attempt of the community of Rockfish to incorporate. Held a 40-minute closed session for matters within the attorney-client privilege and to discuss personnel matters, and no action was taken. That's the council report.
What time do we finish?
It's 49, 10 minutes till, so I don't need this until about 5 till. Read that, that'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll get over it, doesn't matter.
Dems propose common sense gun laws. Several state Democratic lawmakers unveiled gun restriction and school safety proposals Monday in response to the Florida school shooting, calling those common sense ideas that Republicans have already supported elsewhere. The 5 House and Senate members from urban counties unveiled gun charges similar to those that Democratic Governor Roy Cooper announced last week that he wanted the GOP-controlled General Assembly to approve. Those include expanding background checks currently required for handguns to sales of assault-type weapons, raising the purchase age for assault guns from 18 to 21, and creating a method for a court to order guns be taken temporarily from people determined to be a danger to themselves or their community. Also, like Cooper, the legislators want to ban bump stock devices which allow guns to mimic fully automatic fire. In addition, the legislators want more money to hire school psychologists and counselors. They also propose the State Center for Safer Schools be tasked with determining how many more police officers in schools are needed. Cooper's proposal came the same day students in high schools across the country and in North Carolina walked out of class in solidarity to seek action on gun violence. Some legislators speaking Monday attended walkouts or had sat down with teenagers to discuss their request. What I say to our youth is we will do something, said Representative Marcia Morley, a Durham County Democrat. We can do sensible reforms for our youth. Exactly what is done will depend on the level of support from Republicans in the House and Senate, who have a history of loosening restrictions on lawfully held guns. A House committee will meet for the first time Wednesday and examine school safety in the aftermath of the February 14th school shooting rampage that claimed 17 lives in Parkland, Florida. Senator Jay Shamori, a Wake County Democrat, said he hopes the committee would consider the ideas and General Assembly leaders ultimately allow a vote on the package. The legislators' primary work session begins in mid-May. House Majority Leader John Bell of Wayne County didn't respond to requests left with his office about the package and whether GOP caucus members could support such changes. Wendy's School Safety Committee meeting will include presentations on physical security at schools and mental health services, according to the committee's draft agenda. Students on the school safety task force also will speak. They want committee members to absorb as much information as possible prior to a discussion about current law and potential policy proposals. GOP Representative David Lewis of Harnett County, a committee chairman, said in a release. Chadori and other speakers said many of the same gun proposals are like those approved earlier this month by the Republican-controlled Florida legislature and GOP Governor Rick Scott. They also mentioned support from President Donald Trump, although he recently backed off of pressing more gun restrictions. There were no Republicans at the legislative buildings lecture Monday to endorse the package, but the Democrats don't believe that ideas are dead. Maury said she has spoken privately with Republican colleagues about the plan. This is the beginning of a real conversation, Chadori said, adding the news conference also helps convey a message to Republicans in the General Assembly that we are interested in finding common ground. The package also would expand statewide a pilot program in which students could send anonymous tips about school safety concerns with their electronic devices. I don't understand why assault rifles are sold. I thought it was just a military thing.
Well, we keep talking about that. My husband and I said there's no earthly reason why an ordinary person would need an assault rifle.
Exactly.
Assault rifles were made to kill lots of people in a military situation. There's no reason why a man in the street or even a hunter should have that. They don't need an assault rifle.
Yeah, I think they should be banned for unless they're military.
I agree.
But they don't.
Oh, you know what's going to happen? The NRA's going to come get us.
Come get me.
Just come on. Okay, let's do the television schedule. We'll read it slow, shall we? ABC tonight at 8 o'clock, The Middle, which is new. 8:30, Fresh Off the Boat, which is new. Blackish at 9, which is new. Modern Family doesn't say. For the People at 10, which is a new show. Lawyers try to prove their worth. CBS, NCIS Dark Secrets. NCIS High Tide at 9 p.m. This is in 2 parts. Let's start again. Dark Secrets, an apparent suicide is investigated. NCIS High Tide, Torres and Bishop go undercover. Then at 10 o'clock, Bull helps a teen arrested for robbery. So Fox, we've got Lethal Weapon at 8 o'clock. Murtaugh tries to impress Captain Avery. And then at 9 o'clock, LA to Vegas, Overbooked. The Mick, and that's entitled The Car. And then News at 10 o'clock. NBC, 8 o'clock, The Voice. The battle round continues. That's new. Rise, loose production budget is slashed. That's new. And Chicago Med, Manning and Choi must deliver a baby. I like all those Chicago shows. Chicago Med, Chicago PD. I like them all. Let's see. PBS. 8 o'clock, Al Capone, Icon. 9 o'clock, Jackie Robinson. Robinson speaks out against injustice. A&E. The First 48 at 8 o'clock, a young mother is ambushed and shot. The First 48 at 9, a woman is beaten and stabbed to death. And at 10 p.m., Undercover High, the school year comes to an end. AMC, at 8 o'clock, a movie called Contagion, which is a 3-star movie made in 2011, and it's a suspense movie starring Marion Cotillard, Matt Damon, and Lawrence Fishburne. Doctors try to contain the spread of a lethal virus. Gosh, I like movies like that. Gosh. And after that, another movie, 10:30, Curse of Chucky. It doesn't have any stars, and I'm not surprised. Okay. Discovery Channel, 8 o'clock, Moonshiners, which Outlaw Cuts, which is new. And then 9 o'clock, Moonshiners, Mike Faces Setbacks, and that's new. And then 10 o'clock, Moonshiners, Mark Rogers Heads into the Wilderness. It doesn't say anything about that being new. Let's see. I did get started too early, didn't I? Oh well, never mind.
Yes.
Nat Geo, 8 o'clock, Life Below Zero, Bloodlines, the Halston family. And then 9 o'clock, Life Below Zero, a few Alaskans choose to live alone. Obviously, they're doing a series about Alaska. And then at 10, Life Below Zero, Alaskans facing daily challenges. I'm telling you, that is not for me. I can't stand to be that cold. TBN, 8 o'clock, Praise. 9 o'clock, Joseph Prince. 9:30, Max Lucado. 10 o'clock, Joyce Meyer. And then 10:30, Leading. TBS, The Big Bang Theory at 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, and 10. And then at 10:30, something called The Detour. Turner Classic Movies at 8 o'clock, a 4-star movie, folks. The Graduate, 1967 comedy, Dustin Hoffman. A woman seduces a young man who falls for her daughter. I think we all remember that movie. And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. There you go. And then at 10 o'clock, a movie called Modern Times, which was made in 1936. And it's a comedy. Charlie Chaplin and Paulette Goddard, if you can imagine. Now, it doesn't say, I wonder if those movies are colored or black and white, because it doesn't really say, you know, doesn't tell you that. Okay, and on TLC, My Big Fat Fabulous Life at 8 o'clock. At 9:02, Counting On. At 10:09, are you ready? The 685-pound teen. Wow. That's amazing, isn't it? And then another one of those Big Fat Fabulous Lives at 11 o'clock. So you can see that, and if you watch TNT, it's basketball and it's a pro ball. It's not college ball. I'm just double checking to make sure there isn't any college ball tonight. No, it'd probably be Thursday and Friday again, like it was last week, so in the afternoon. So that about does it. Nothing else. I don't see any other movies you need to know about, so this concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts have been
Linda Miller
and Tina Beatty. Please tune in at 1 when you can hear an hour of the Paraglide, at 2 for a tape broadcast of the Southern Pines pilot, and we will now join the Raleigh Network for additional news of interest. Thank you for tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you this morning. Have a wonderful day.
I got the coffin.
There we are, there we are.
I don't know where it came from.
I don't know whose phone was making noises. It may have been mine.
I think it was mine.
That it. My daughter called me.
You got it on vibrate, don't you?
Yeah.
What?
Hey, sweetie, I'm getting ready to leave the radio station. What's up? Okay, I'll come out in there.
All right, bye-bye. U.S. Boy Scouts revoke badges from Down syndrome boy? Who
They do
knows?
what?
It says that the Boy Scouts revoked badges from a Down syndrome boy, but it's just a little blurb, you know. I don't know